Before the video starts, I just want to say two things real quick. First is that this video is sponsored by Ridge. If you're unfamiliar with Ridge, they sell products like backpacks, insane power banks that I can't recommend enough, and their flagship product, the Ridge Wallet. The Ridge Wallet has over 30,000 5-star reviews, a minimal design to streamline what you carry every day, as well as a lifetime warranty. There are over a dozen different designs to choose from, like this classy plain black one, or my personal favorite, Tropical. Get 10% off your order today with free worldwide shipping and returns by going to ridge.com/anus, yes, that's correct, ridge.com/anus, and use code ANUS to get 10% off with free shipping and returns. Link is in the description. You just saw the video Rewind, which is the second thing I want to talk about. Prey is a dense speed game. There's a lot that happens very quickly. At several points in the video, it will rewind and play a section over again in slow motion. This is a new thing I'm trying out for sections with a lot going on, so you're able to see what happens a couple times and apply what you're hearing with what you're saying a bit better. Also, it helps reduce the amount of info I have to cut from commentary. Please let me know how you guys like this change, because you'll be seeing it about 9 times throughout this run. Also, as usual, if you see an asterisk in the top left corner, that indicates that I still ended up having to cut a line at that point in the video, and the line is included in the description with a timestamp. Okay, that's all. Sorry to keep you waiting on the run. Hey guys, my name's Tomato Anus, also known as my dad's biggest disappointment, and this is a segmented any percent speedrun of Prey 2017. As with the Doom 2016 and the Dishonored speedrun videos, this run is actually being performed by Seeker, who holds the world record for Prey as well. If you would like to watch this run without commentary, or Seeker's world record run, which is also commentary free, there are links in the description below. Also, with this category being any percent, glitches are allowed. If you would prefer to watch a run with much less of a reliance on glitches, I recommend you check out Lifelike's No Out of Bounds world record run, which I've also linked in the description. When the run actually begins, we act as if we just drank some monster and our name was Kyle, and grab a chair which we promptly throw on top of a bathroom door. Carrying the chair lowers our move speed, but by sliding or jumping right as you grab it, your momentum from before you grab the chair is conserved until we finish our jump or slide. As we jump to throw the chair on top of the bathroom door, we flick our camera to the right to climb on top of some shelves. By flicking our camera towards the shelves, it skips the climbing animation. Once on top of the chair, we'll be semi-clipped through the ceiling, and if we jump, we'll fully go through the ceiling and be completely out of bounds. From here, we perform 2 precise jumps onto some lights, allowing us to skip not only the intro of the game, but also skip putting on our clothes as we decide to roleplay as a Florida man for this speedrun. If you're running the game at a reasonably high frame rate, holding W and jumping into a wall can cause for Morgan to sort of stick to the wall. We utilize this in the decontamination chamber to climb up onto a ledge above us. Once on the ledge, we drop down and open the door to the next room at the same time as hitting the trigger for the Jovan Gravilovich cutscene to begin. By doing this, it skips getting locked in the decontamination chamber and having to wait for Jovan to get deep-throated, which saves 20 seconds. If Jovan had been swapped out for me though, this would only save 3 seconds since that's how long I last when deep-throated. Not that you can really call putting a Tic Tac in your mouth a deep throat though. After running past Jovan, we grab the 2 Psi Hypos that spawn every time with the speedrun save file. We then quickly snag the keycard to the simulation lab, followed by grabbing the GLOO Cannon. As we make our way to the door to the lobby, we flick our mouse as we climb a railing, skipping the climbing animation again like we did in the bathroom. Throughout the run, you're going to see Seeker jumping and sliding randomly as he sprints around. In Prey, when you jump or slide, you conserve your momentum while not draining your stamina. This is done to manage our stamina bar and keep it filled to a value we desire. An example of this is that at the end of the first section, we're going to want our stamina bar to be approximately 25 to 33% filled. This will give us just enough stamina to get through the second area with ease. When we enter the lobby, we're going to drop down to the floor below us and specifically land on some stairs. If we hold crouch as we land and take damage, Morgan will use the blood from the compound fracture in her legs as a lubricant and slide along the stairs and floor faster than normal for a brief moment. We then are going to shoot a couple glue globs onto the wall, with one of the globs being at a height that we can climb it and the second one being slightly higher. This placement is very precise, as we need the second glob to be high enough so that there's a large enough gap for us to be able to get into it, but small enough so that we constantly slide off the lower glob. If we continue to hold space, shift, and W after jumping and climbing onto the bottom glue glob, we will automatically climb onto the hitbox of the top glob that extends into the wall, allowing for us to clip into the elevator shaft. When we enter the elevator shaft, we fall a long distance and climb a ledge right before we hit the ground, avoiding a second compound fracture. We then perform another clip with some glue globs and enter the life support area. Life support is a pretty straightforward section of the game, consisting of mostly running. It's possible to get damage boosted by some of the Typhon in this section, which can save up to at most half a second, but it rarely happens. After being in life support for about as long as my grandma was on it, we exit the area to enter the cargo bay. During the fade-in, we can use our mouse to turn Morgan to face the direction we're going to be heading. This is actually done at several points throughout the run, including at the very beginning of the game. In the cargo bay, we're going to immediately head to the zero gravity section of the area. As soon as we regain control after transitioning to 0G, we immediately look up and to the right and bonk our head as we collide with a windowsill. If you do this and stop entering any inputs as you hit the corner, you'll clip out of bounds and maintain control of Morgan. If any buttons are pressed while you're colliding with the windowsill, you'll lose control of Morgan and not be able to move. Once we're out of bounds, we fly slightly to the right, which will bring us to the door to Guts, which we can interact with from out of bounds. In Guts, we have to be sure to avoid getting hit by enemies, or else we can get stun locked and die. As we fly around, we're going to move along the conveyor belt and try to hit it whenever our speed drops to 10 meters per second or lower. Doing this will boost us by about 3 meters per second and over the natural move speed limit of 10 meters per second. At one point, we come to a bend in the conveyor belt. If we hit the belt completely perpendicular at the bend, we get a huge boost and are able to skip having to change direction at the bend. This boost actually puts our velocity over 14 meters per second, which we normally aren't able to achieve with normal boosts on the conveyor belt. Also, Seeker is careful to not use the belt too many times as he approaches the end of the area. If you have boosted speed as you reach the area where the door to exit is, you won't be able to slow quickly enough to correct your trajectory and reach the door. After doing what most people do when trying to make it to their connecting flight, we make it to the end of the 0G area and head to the exit to go to the Arboretum. Before we make our exit though, we're sure to grab the Typhon lure that's laying next to the door. When we load into the Arboretum, we're going to turn Morgan during the fade-in again and jump on top of a nearby box. From there, we'll climb onto a platform and shoot some glue on a railing and near the ceiling. We'll then climb onto the upper glob and proceed to shoot our GLOO Cannon into the wall right next to us. Doing this will cause collision between the glue's hitbox and Morgan, forcing Morgan up and through the ceiling and into the Arboretum proper. The reason why Seeker also shot some glue at the top of the railing is that it skips the climbing animation for both of the glue globs, saving a little bit of time. We try to do this as much as possible whenever we're climbing glues. Once we clip into the Arboretum, we proceed to pick up a nearby shotgun, a silenced pistol, and a Psi Hypo. We then run to enter the medical bay, where we shoot our glue onto the wall. There isn't much going on with the ceiling here in terms of collision, allowing for Seeker to just jump on top of the glue and climb out of bounds. The next trick is FOV dependent, with there being different visual cues for whatever FOV you're playing at. The goal is to drop down under the ledge we're currently on and land/climb up onto a fabrication plan. This and the first 5 seconds of the run are the hardest tricks in the run. Seeker's visual cue for this trick is to look at the ground for 2 dots and drop down at their location. When we stick the landing, we grab the prototype null wave transmitter plan. There are actually 2 that we can pick up, but if we pick up the one on the left, it breaks the game for some reason, with that reason probably being that this game was published by Bethesda. We then long jump to a ledge and use some glue to climb a rock, a ledge, and then onto the edge of a wall. On top of the wall, we jump twice in a row and clip through the floor of the room above us, bringing us back in bounds. We then run across the Arboretum, where we exterminate a mimic pretending to be a GLOO Cannon. We follow this with looting everything on the cadaver of Jiak Young Ho, as well as everything in the nearby containers. With our newfound inventory, we make out like a madman and recycle everything we just picked up and have picked up throughout the run, save for our GLOO Cannon, pistol, and their respective ammos. This should give us at least 3 of each material. The next step is to build the prototype null wave transmitter, which is what we landed on the plans of a moment ago in the difficult trick. When we pick up the transmitter, we hold F and walk backwards, allowing us to move during the little inspection animation. Normally, we aren't able to move during this animation, but if we are holding a movement input before the animation starts and continue to hold it during the animation, it allows for you to continue to move as the animation plays out. This puts us closer to the door to go back to Guts. Once we're back in Guts, rather than climbing the aggro crag, we're going to clip out of bounds again. This one is performed by jumping onto a crate and shooting our glob into the corner, but being cognizant of not shooting it too high. We'll then jump onto the glue and shoot some more glue into the corner while running into it. This will clip Morgan through the wall. We then fall way out of bounds while being sure to not hold any inputs. If we time it right and begin holding W when we're about 120 meters away from the objective, it will put Morgan into a zero gravity area. We can then fly next to a nearby blue area to get back into a hallway and bonk our head to get back in bounds. Once back in bounds, we immediately access the door to enter Psychotronics. In Psychotronics, we're going to have zero regard for any enemies in the area because they actually don't have any collision and we won't get stuck on them. All we have to do is run straight ahead. The enemies are still a bit spooky though, because they can irradiate us when they explode. Too much radiation and it will slow our move speed in certain directions and also reduce our stamina by 50%. We then enter the zero gravity zone in the middle of the area and place our null wave transmitter on the heart of the coral. We then head back to where we came from. Unfortunately, all of our permeable Typhon friends despawn after placing the null wave transmitter. This is due to us technically being in a new level after the little cutscene.
That should do it. Come to the bridge. We can finish this thing once and for all.
Once we're back in Guts, which admittedly sounds a lot grosser saying aloud than when I wrote it down, we perform another glue clip to get out of bounds in the 0G void again. This glue clip requires some precise glue placement, followed by shooting some glue into the corner while we walk into it. During this clip, Seeker is sure not to shoot his load too high or else he will get a climbing animation. When we're back flying around, we make like Uncle Cracker and drift away to a hallway that's decently far away. While we're drifting through the void though, we're sure not to bump into either of the blue boxes as one will cancel our zero gravity and the other will electrocute us. The blue areas that we fly next to in the void represent some inbounds areas without rendering what's inside. If we move too far away from the blue box on the left, our zero gravity will be removed, so we have to be sure to stick pretty close to it. However, if we stick too close to the box, we'll get electrocuted and lose speed when we're about 260 to 270 meters away from the objective. When we clip back into the hallway at the end, we ride another conveyor belt like we're in a factory, and then head back to the Arboretum one last time. Seeker does his fancy moving walkway bounces again, and at the end presses Q and E to stop his movement in place as if he were Dominic Toretto slamming the E brake. In the Arboretum, we slowly sprint to the entrance to the Talos 1 bridge. If I didn't know any better, I would say that Morgan has been running in molasses this entire time. Seeker then blindly runs through some bushes, trying to hit the gap between a big tree and some other small trees. Clearly, Seeker isn't afraid of spiders because Morgan is probably caked in them right now. Also, if we had gotten fully irradiated earlier, we would be out of stamina at this point in the run. When we make it to the Talos 1 bridge, we make quick work of January and shake our collective heads as Seeker decides to spare Alex. The run officially ends when the final cutscenes of the game begin. If you stuck around this far, I'd like to say thank you for watching from both myself and on Seeker's behalf. Also, I apologize if I sounded any different during this commentary track. I came down with strep while making this video, and while it's nothing serious, it does affect the way I talk right now, and I hope it wasn't distracting. If you didn't notice, then I guess I'll just mark it up to my normal voice sounding weird to begin with. Getting back on track, this video is the last in the trilogy of videos I'm making right now with Seeker. I honestly can't stress enough how skilled of a speedrunner he is, but also how awesome of a person he is. Please go drop him a follow if you haven't already. Going forward, I have 2 or 3 Fallout 4 speedrun videos in the pipeline that I've been working on for a while, including a new any % run. There were recently some major developments in the route for the game, and I can't wait to show it off to you guys, so be on the lookout for that video dropping in the next month or 2. I'm also continuing to take suggestions and recommendations for speedruns you'd like to see covered, so leave a comment below if you have any you think would be interesting. I have a couple runs that I'm starting to work on with other runners that I'm super excited for and can't wait to show you. Anyways, that's all for this video. I hope you enjoyed. Until next time, I've been Tomato Anus, and I hope you have an above average day.